Welcome to the Paper Call Coaching Call. Wow, 12, 12, 13 already. Can hardly believe it. My 8-year-old was just telling me the other day, she said she can't believe how fast 2013 has gone by. And when an 8-year-old says that, time's going by, and we probably lead lives a little more busier than we should. But any event, been gearing up. I hope everyone else too is gearing up for the new year. Hopefully, if you haven't started, get started on your resolutions, what you're going to be doing. Keep it simple, stay focused. A lot of different things that myself and my family are going to be doing for the new year, both for my business and for my personal life. And I would encourage you to get a jump on that early. There's no reason to wait until the first of the year. The best time to start is right now. So if you've got some things, list them out, get started on those right away. With that, we'll get started with the call here. I wanted to address on here, I've talked about this before on a previous webinar. I would encourage you to go back and look at that. There's three pretty good webinars recently that have a lot of kind of updated information. They're all labeled. One is for those of you who got the SEO Zen. It's how I use SEO Zen. We get a lot of questions like that. So we have the training video in there, how we use them to, fit with the Paper Call Ninja silo structures and how we do them. The other one is really my top 6 quality backlinks. Take a look at that. And then the other one is a topic I'm going to cover now just in a little bit more detail and just reiterate it, but it's how not to over optimize your sites. What appears to be happening and has been for, past 4 months or so is Google is really hypersensitive to over optimization. Okay. If your site continuously has, your same keywords in the URLs, in the titles, in the content, on all your posts, all your backlinks, all your anchor text, on and off page, it just has the same 2 or 3 or 5 main keywords, then guess what? Google is not going to like that. It doesn't look natural and it looks really spammy. And what's happening is that sites are not necessarily getting de-indexed at all. In fact, I rarely see that ever happen. It's just that maybe you were on page 1 and then all of a sudden you kind of floated to page 3 or 4 or 5 and you're just kind of stuck there. And that's, we see these come in through the support desk. So I want to go over some things, and I want to also show you an adjustment that everyone needs to make on their all-in-one SEO pack so that you don't over optimize the title. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, this has not changed, okay, since the original training that was put on in the members area, way back when. It's still the same in the training, it's still the same today, but we see these come in through the support desk all the time, and that is people on their home page, they'll, I recommend just taking, if you've got like 5 main keywords that are fairly similar, maybe you can naturally fit in 3 or 4 one time on your home page. That's all you need to do. Okay. Don't try to, if you're like, let's say, plumber, plumber Albuquerque or something like that. Don't put plumber Albuquerque 3 or 4 times on your home page. It's way too spammy. Okay. Just put it in there once and that's it. Okay. If you're also going after, say, emergency plumbing, then maybe your second main keyword that you could easily rank for, it's very similar to your main one, would be, emergency plumbing. That would be another one. Just put it in there one time. Don't stuff it a whole bunch of times in there. On that, do not stuff your home page with a bunch of keywords. One time is plenty. You've got your 3, maybe 5 that you can rank that kind of general topic on easily without having to build another silo or another page. And then if you've got a lot of other very similar keywords, maybe up to 30 or 40, just put them in the meta tags. That's fine. Okay. Let's move on here. That's a common thing. We're seeing that come in. People say, hey, we're not able to rank, or we're not ranking where we want to be. What's one of the things? And we look at the home page and we say it's just overstuffed with keywords. Off and on page anchor text. You've got your main little group of keywords that you're trying to rank for, I would use those maybe 1 or 2 times. And I would just completely back off of them after that. And from there, use anchor texts that are just kind of related, kind of theme based. Okay, so if you had a plumber site, you might have words that would be theme based to a plumber site, like hot water heater. That's something that plumbers do, or septic tank. Okay, these are not words that you necessarily want to rank for, but these are things that you can safely link back to your site, both on page from your inner pages and both your off page as well. You don't start hitting it with plumber plus your city name, stuff like this over and over again. Google is really sensitive to this. The algorithms that they've put into place, what it appears that they've done is, that sends red flags, and you're going to get pushed back. It just looks too spammy. Okay. And really the rest of the anchor text that you're going to be using both for your post and for your off-page backlinks, again, just think theme related type of stuff. Okay. Think click here, check it out by clicking here, URL, company name, as long as it's not too kind of spammy looking. Okay. That's the kind of stuff that you want to do. Very natural. Trust me, when we set up the sites the way we do, we silo them out. We have the content on there. Google's very clear about what that site's about. Okay. And we don't need to keep shoving it in Google's face. All right. So this is something that we see a lot when people bring in our sites into the support desk. I have us take a look at them, but this would be an example on here. This would be your main root word, mysite.com, and then you have a keyword right after it. And then you've got, it might be a post site, right? So then you've got another post site where you've got another keyword in there. And it's just too spammy right now. You have to move away from that. Instead, it's something that's much more natural looking. It'd be your site, maybe, plumberalbuquerque.com, and then / one of your post articles might be, top 10 tips to unplug a drain. Okay. That's much more informative looking. It's of the same theme. That's what we're going for here. Okay. Okay. This is what we're seeing, and this is not entirely people's fault out there. You could be very conscious of not over optimizing and end up doing this, and maybe you're wondering how it's happening. So I want to go over this because we've seen this a lot come through the support desk. Is don't keyword stuff your title. Okay. So for example, I might have a post it might be about how to fix a flat tire. Okay. And then without putting it in myself, the way that you set up your SCO1 plugin, it would automatically put in this bar and then put in Mold Mechanic Pros. Okay. And then from there on forward, every post that I make, if one's about, change your oil filter, then it adds this aspect to it here at the end. And this is too spammy. Okay. So even though I didn't manually put that in there, the way you set up your SEO plugin will automatically set it up. And I want to show you how to remove that. And if you have it in there right now, if you look at your sites, I would encourage you to go back and remove this. And we'll actually, let me go right now. But basically what we're going to do here is we're going to remove this from SEO, all-in-one SEO pack. So I should have a site up here for this. General settings. Okay. So basically when you go into the back end of your admin area, just click on your all-in-one SEO plugin, which is going to bring you to this page. And you're just going to scroll down, and I'll have images of this in the webinar replay. Actually, the image is already there. It's already been put up. But you go down to title settings. It's right here, title settings. All this is by default, by the way. Okay, so you haven't changed anything, and you're going to come in here, and this is what we're looking to get rid of. Okay, from here all the way to here. This last one you'll leave. But what you're going to remove is, don't just remove just that. You have to remove that. otherwise that little bar will show up. So I'm just going to come in and remove, and one more time, and remove, and then I'll save this. Yep. Okay, so that's it, and that's going to prevent this kind of stuff from happening. You go out, you put a post in, and then after the post, it automatically puts this bar here, and then it puts the excuse me, basically the title of your blog, and it gets a little bit spammy over and over again. It's just, depending on how you set it up, it may be, Mo Mechanic Austin, or, Plumbers Albuquerque or something like that. It's just like over and over and over again in Google's face, and it looks spammy even though you're not trying to be. So you want to go in there and do that. And we do have the image of what I just did in the section where we'll have the replay up. The replay's not up yet, obviously, because I'm doing it right now live for you on the call, but it is there right now. So if you want to reference it, you can. So, all right, so I'm going to get into the questions here, but before I do, I just want to take a quick peek at the chat box and answer any questions that are relevant to what I just talked about, so we don't lose anybody here. Okay, so Doug asked in here, I was thinking that I should stop using Magic Submitter. Your thoughts and what would be a better alternative on here? I think Magic Submitter is fine. And when you're using Magic Submitter, you want to make sure the whole name of the game now, it really hasn't changed, but you just really have to focus more in on quality links, less of them. Okay, and the velocity or the rate at which you're going to link those to your site, you need to slow that down. And we need to also just be doing regular stuff that's always good SEO practice, and that is, you're not sending all your links to your homepage. You're sending, maybe 50-40% to your homepage, and then just randomly picking some inner pages. The way that you set up your sites with the silo structures, it's just going to send all the link juice throughout the site and back to your homepage anyways, and it just looks more natural. As far as Magic Submitter goes, it's fine to use. Make sure that you're using a little bit more of the higher quality. You've got options in there. Some people use it, some don't. But for those of you who do use it, you know that there are, you can select some higher PR sites, and that's what I would focus on when we're using Magic Submitter, and definitely slow the stuff down. The other thing that that Google seems to be really sensitive to right now is a lot of spun content from like Web 2.0 sites and stuff pointing to your site. So if you're spinning content, make sure it's, take the extra, either you or your VA, take the extra 5 or 10 minutes to really make sure that each spin is nice and clean. You do a good job of it. Don't just press a button, even if you're using Spin Rewriter, which is a really good one, by the way. Take the time to make sure that it's nice and readable. Okay, if you start to get too many kind of technical languages in there, it makes it a little bit harder for the system in there, the way they have it set up, to find similar words and rewrite the sentences so that they're readable. But if you have more kind of basic writing, it's a lot easier for it to do on autopilot. But you should take a look at it, read it over, make sure. If you've got a lot of obviously spun content coming from a lot of different kind of W 2.0 type sites, I would stay clear of that kind of stuff. So, okay, enough of that. So would you do Albuquerque Plumber and Albuquerque Emergency Plumber, or just Emergency Plumber? Chris, that's a great question, and it would depend on the number of searches. So you go into Keyword Planner, you make sure that your geographic area is the Albuquerque area and maybe the surrounding areas, and see if someone from that area is typing in, looking for a plumber, what do they type in the most? Is your highest search, according to Google keyword, is it plumber just plain old plumber, or do people actually type in, Albuquerque? If say for example it was plumber, although I wouldn't be ranking for that particular one word, but just for the example, if let's say plumber had the most searches, and the second most searches was, plumbers in Albuquerque, that would be my second keyword, and then maybe the third one would be emergency plumbing, and I would just have it in that order. And all three of those is something you could rank one page for. You wouldn't need to create separate silos for it. But that would be, that would look very, if those were your three, Albuquerque plumber, Albuquerque emergency plumber, and emergency plumber, you could very easily just slip those three keywords one time in a home page, and it's not going to look spammy. Okay, I wouldn't start. What we're seeing for that example, we're seeing people that are putting, Albuquerque plumber in 4 or 5 times on their home page, in addition to Albuquerque emergency plumbing and emergency plumbing. It's just too much. It's like, okay, we got it. You're a plumbing company in Albuquerque. We got it. Don't keep, pounding our head over about it from the search engine perspectives, because it just doesn't look natural. And they've clearly made changes to the algorithm that is identifying that stuff, and you won't get rewarded for it, basically. Okay, what if your blog title is a brand name? I would. That's fine if your blog title is a brand name. Just make sure that when you, Dan, that when you're doing your posts, that it doesn't end up on the title of every single post. It just looks too spammy. Okay, and then go in and make the adjustment in SEO plugin. Okay, so this is a good question from Barbara. It says, Chris, if we have a site that's been over-optimized, do you suggest to start from scratch and redo it from square one? No, you don't have to redo it. Just go in and make the changes. Okay, go in there. If you've got on your post, you've got spammy titles in there. It's got your keyword too much. Just go in and just remove it. Okay, that's. I wouldn't start over from scratch. It's not done with by any means, but I would remove that stuff out of there, and you can, it's and you will be able to recover from that. Still have keywords in the title? No, I would, Howard. I would back off from that completely. It's very look. What you want to have is you want to have, whatever your domain is, and then your homepage, and then if you've got posts that are supporting and adding content to the site, don't put a bunch of keywords in your titles in there. Make it look much more natural that you're adding content and you're not keyword stuffing. Google will figure out what your site is all about based on the few times that you've put in your anchor text and the content from the site. Okay. Yeah, Jason, the EDMs are not considered spammy. Where there's just too many of them ranking well. Okay. The only time they are ever penalized, okay, is when there was a flaw in the algorithm where you could have little to no content, in other words, very little end user value, and they would be ranking, okay, on page 1, and they would come up in search. And Google doesn't want that. It's about an end user good experience, right? And if you've got good content and you've got a good user experience, and you've got an exact match domain, you're not going to be penalized for that. Okay, I know people think you will. There's stuff that goes about it, but it's not. Add permalinks. Just keep them the same that we're doing right there. That we train in the. Here, I'll just pull it up here right now so everyone knows. But it isn't a training on here. But for your permalinks, the same as we've always done before. Still not used to the new updates here. Where do we go? Where do we go? My mind is drawing a blank. I've got a little bit of a head cold, so but it's in the training area, and the permalinks. If you know the question how to ask about a permalink, then you know where it is, and it's exactly the same that we've always done in the past. We're not changing that. Okay, is this a problem with the percentage blog title on money sites where it is a legitimate company name with no keywords in the blog title? Just remove it, because you do not want to have the same exact thing over and over and over and over again on every one of your titles. It's just it's a simple way to remove it. Alternative to Magic Submitter, there's SEO Nuke or X or whatever they're calling it today, SEO CR. That's an alternative. It's a little bit more pricey on there, but I would take a look at the webinar I did not too long ago. It's clearly written on the title on it, and it's really the top quality backlinks, and it doesn't have anything to do with Magic Submitter or any of those others. And at the end of the day, the backlinks that get the most power from experience is going to be your own little private blog network. And if you're not ready for that, that's fine. There's alternatives on there like Unique Article Wizard, actually a blog network. There is Link Authority, and you can also buy these things too from places like eBay. Those are really good, high quality backlinks. I had Greg Morrison on, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago or so. We were just chatting, and I said, hey, I got to run. I've got a coaching call. He said, hey, I'd love to come on and chat with your people. So it's great to have him on, and everyone got to ask him questions. And, you know, and one of the questions came up is, if you only had one backlink that you could do for all your sites, only one source, what would it be? And without hesitation, he said, is private blog network. And that would be my response too. There's just nothing more powerful than that. So when you kind of compare something like that with a Magic Submitter or some of these automated tools, and a lot of these automated tools, you've got, you're going to have, ongoing costs with them, monthly costs, which is fine. You're running a business and you have to invest in it, but over the long haul, you would actually end up spending less if you had created your own private blog network. I mean, I had a VA I've trained my VAs to actually shop for my blog for my buying my age domains, and I'm just talking about the $5 and $10, the $5, $10, and $12 ones from the closeouts from a GoDaddy. Because it's real simple. It's a low cost, low investment, low risk. It's you're going to pay $5, $7, $12 for them, $10 plus the next year's renewal. $7.99 or whatnot if you get a .com. And we just run it through the basic checks. I've done previous trainings on those before. As long as it's not de-indexed, page rank, you're going to get page rank 1, 2, and 3 all day longs. And age, I like them as old as I can get them, and those are very low risk. And even if and some they'll lose their page rank. It doesn't bother me because it still has the age, and they're still valuable. But that doesn't happen very often, and a lot of people are concerned about that kind of stuff. But it doesn't happen. Okay, we get some of these questions here. Yeah, good. Chris says in here, I guess SEO Moz says to include your brand name in the page titles on here. And I don't know what specifically they're recommending, so I can't comment on it other than, they maybe just be saying, maybe, 1 or 2 pages. But if you're writing, over a period of time, you've got maybe 20 or 30 posts that you're adding to a site over time, and it's all got your brand name in it, and your brand name happens to be your keyword, mobile mechanics, Albuquerque or something like that. It just looks too spammy. And it's just such an easy way to remove it, and it's just not adding value to what you're saying. But I think probably what they're referring to is maybe, maybe the name of the company is, I don't know, R&B's 24-hour auto rescuer or something like that. That's not like a keyword stuffing word. That's going to be your brand name. And Google does, there tends to be reasons to believe that Google is trying to build more brands. But I really think that's more applicable to, more larger type of situations rather than, kind of a small town, kind of local site. But I guess what I'm trying to say there is I don't think SEO Moz is incorrect. I'm just saying it's kind of two different strategies we're talking about. Okay. Okay. So should we change the permalinks also, and then repenting and redo the sitemap? It's a good question, Ed, and I would definitely come in there. As far as the permalinks go, it's just, the // I don't know why my head is just not in it here with this, where the heck this is. Oh, here we go. Okay, so there's permalinks right there. So those of you who are wondering, the permalinks is just right here, just exactly what we show in the course, just the post name, and that's how we leave it there. It keeps the URL short, and it's just going to be your post name, which preferably is not going to be something spammy. Thanks for all the direction, guys. Okay. Alrighty. What are your thoughts on the backlink commando? It's just another tool that you may want to consider. I think the larger question is when you're looking at your links, you want to be aware that the backlinks that you do send to your site, the majority of them are probably not getting indexed or cached by the search engines, which means you're not getting any credit or, Google love juice or whatever you want to call it to your sites. And a lot of people are completely unaware of this. I do cover this in the training course, and there are some paid services out there like Backlink Indexer, Linklicious. There's like 4 or 5 others, and basically they all do the same thing. They do it at different levels of degrees, different qualities, but they're backlinking your backlinks. And if that sounds strange to you, maybe you've never heard that before. I know the first time I heard it, it was very odd. But to backlink your backlinks, because a lot of times you get a backlink and you'll think, oh, okay, I'm going to get credit for this, and this is great, and your site's not moving up anywhere. And if you were to take that backlink and check and see if it got indexed in the search engines, and if it got cached, and it doesn't, then that means your backlink didn't get indexed. And you have to think that the search engines, they have to be selective about what they're going to index and what they're going to cache. It takes up space, and they only want to. They don't want to accept everything, especially if they perceive it as having low value. So, if you send some social bookmarking links and some of these Web 2.0 website links, RSS feeds, pinging your backlinks, then the search engines tend to crawl it. They go, okay, maybe this link is important. We didn't have an index before, so now we're going to index, and voila, now you get credit for that backlink. Link commando is definitely worth looking at, and it's just automates that process for you. Very similar to some of the paid monthly services do out there, but you don't have to pay the monthly service. It's also quite robust. It has a lot of added features to it, which you may never even get into, but let's say you had a Linklicious account already. They've actually integrated, so you could actually add Linklicious to it in addition to their backlinks and others that you wanted to add to. And it automates the system all from one screen. Anyways, enough about that. I'm going to move on to the slides here, and we'll get rocking and rolling with that. All right, so got 3 questions here, and the first one is, when going into the site and changing the titles and the URLs as explained, what is your procedure informing Google about the changes made? Is pinging the URLs enough, or do you recommend other measures? I think pinging's fine. You just come in and ping your sites if you're going to change the titles, URLs. In other words, you've looked at it, you've determined that you've over-optimized it. Then I would change it and definitely ping it. And that could be something that just that URL alone, if it's an interface that you've changed, you could run it through a Linklicious if you wanted to, if you're on that service, backlinking indexer. You could run it through Link Commando. All those things kind of basically do the same type of thing. They're going to send some links to it, so you're going to get crawled. So that's what I would do. But you could start out with just getting pinging. You'll know whether the index is made change, has taken place. You want to give it a little bit of time, a couple of weeks, but you'll go back and you'll enter in site : then your URL, and you'll see all the pages that are indexed, and you'll see if the title's changed. Okay. Number 2, do you change the keywords in all-in-one SEO pack keyword selection as well, or you just leave them the way they are? If you've gone in and we don't train this isn't part of the training, but if you've gone in and for your posts that are supporting your homepage at the top of your silos, if in that SEO pack you've added keywords and it would be considered over optimization, then I would definitely go back and remove those. But according to the training, you shouldn't have done that for your posts anyways. For my sites, I have the main keyword, also the exact match. Have the main keyword, also exact match domain in all posts and pages. Would you change that as well? I would if it's just too spammy. Okay, you don't want to have all of your main keywords in all of your posts. That's just not. I would maybe have it in once and just link it back, and then I would just do themed out type things. It's more important that you've got the content that's themed, that's related to the site, okay, rather than and if one of the anchor texts or a couple of anchor texts pointing back to the top of your silo is just could be anything. If it's a plumber site, it could be septic tank, it could be how to hot water heater, just anything that is related to it. It gets the theme out. Google's going to know from your homepage and the few inner and off-page backlinks that have the keywords that you want to rank for. The few that you do have, they're going to figure it out. When we overdo it, that's when it gets spammy and we get penalized for it. When your SEO's end posts show in the SERPs, okay, in the search engines, and you don't want the prospects to see that content after he clicks on it, would you recommend a 301 redirect? No, I wouldn't. Very rarely would you have a inner page that is maybe outranking or your main homepage, and I wouldn't do a 301 redirect. I would just leave it alone. Okay, so good. Alrighty, so again, if you send in questions to the Webby questions, and if you don't specifically say don't share the material, then I'll just assume that I'm going to answer the question live on the air. So if this is somebody's kind of little niche here, I apologize, but you want to put that in that you don't want me to share it if you don't. So but I looked this over. I thought it was some really good questions, very applicable, I think, to a lot of people in here. So basically, it's like this. I did a search on my niche in New York and got something like the below examples for window cleaning. So go out there, do your keyword research. We got window cleanings, 590, clean windows, 320, clean my windows, 260, clean your windows, 210, and window cleaning New York, 210. I'm just wondering what keywords I should use for the home title and the home description. Okay, so I would go with the highest search term or keyword that is going to be a bind keyword. So window cleaning. Now, I'm not in that niche, but I'm looking at that keyword and I'm thinking, well, that might be a bind keyword, but it might not. So how would you tell if you just by looking at it? This is what I do is I would just come into the search engines, and I might not be plugged in on my IP, but if I just did window cleaning, I'm just going to put New York, okay? And then I look at what shows up here. Is this going to be providing, more information? Or would this be a term that people would actually, they're shopping for window cleaning? And I would just come up here. I'll take a look at this site. It's ranking number 2. And is this trying to basically sell me, window cleaning? And it definitely is. Okay, window cleaning, blah blah blah. So it looks like more like commercial. So yes, that so far seems like a buying word because of the other things in here. I would click through and do the same thing through these as well. And I would also do your windows need cleaning. Yeah, so that's definitely a buying keyword. I would take a couple and just take a look at a couple of these paid ones. Don't click on them because otherwise I'll get charged for it. But I would just copy and paste the URL, and I just take a look at, are they trying to sell me something? In other words, have other people figured out that this is a buying keyword, which is window cleaning? And this is the ad. Definitely. Okay. So they're definitely here to clean your windows. So assuming that you've got, let's just assume that these searches in here, that these are all going to be, these are all people would put in the search engines with the intent of buying. Okay, they're not looking for information. They're looking the intent to purchase a service. In this order, let's say these were it. I would see if I could naturally fit in at least the first 3 according to the search volume, if not all 5, one time on the home page. Okay, and the first 3 that have the highest searches, I would do the window cleaning as my H1 tag, cleaning windows H2, H3 tag is optional, and there's going to be other keywords in here too, like window cleaning New York, and there's going to be stuff like window cleaners in New York, best window cleaners in New York, stuff like this. All that I would be putting in my meta tags, and I would be using those type of keywords to backlink and use as anchor text, but don't get too spammy with it. We set up a good home page. We've got video, we've got the meta tags, we've got our usually our some kind of keyword rich domain name. Google knows what we're about. If we keep pounding them over the head that we're window cleaners and window cleaners in New York over and over again with a ton of anchor text, you're going to get penalized for it. So okay, so someone sent this in as a site review. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a look at this site on here. And I think I've got it up here. Okay, so the first thing that I do, basically, let me give you a little bit of backdrop on this. This particular individual who has this site has done some social bookmarking and some EDU sites, backlinking. And I don't know if those are the EDU like the rocket ones, or ones that actually have got some high PR. I'm going to assume they're probably like the rocket ones. So they're edu sites, but they're not. Maybe the exact page where your link is not coming from a PR 7 or 8, but the root is. So not really a whole lot of strong backlinks so far. So, but let's go over this. The first thing I do is anytime that we look at a site is we just want to see what's indexed. So we just put in, site : and you can either remove that or have that in. It really doesn't make a difference. And we just want to know what kind of sites, how many pages are indexed, and kind of what they're looking at. See if we see it. So we got about 19 pages that are indexed. So, and this is obviously the home page here. They've got the Google Plus, which is good. And what always happens is that you're going to see right after that is your service area, your contact us. In other words, your disclaimers are up there. And if you don't have disclaimers, most people do who send in our sites for review. But if you don't, we've got, I think it's normally like $49. And we've got a link in there for like $9 inside the site. But it's important to Google, and obviously it is, because they always tend to rank them very quickly. So they crawl them, they know they're there. All right, so then I just want to come down here, and I'm taking a look, and I'm looking at, what are these titles and URLs, are they starting to get spammy or not? So we got replacement windows, Middletown. This looks like this is going to be... Okay, so this is going to be the one of the outskirts, one of the smaller cities. Okay, so I would have just put Middletown here. So if you go in and you look at the Chicago on that, where we took Chicago and then we added the surrounding areas to it, I wouldn't see. You've already got replacement windows in your main URL. I wouldn't put it again for an outside city. I would just leave it at that and just have just Middletown there. Just gets a little too spammy on here. Okay. All right, so you can see we've got this slash with the replacement window pros. We've got that over and over again, which could be argued as a branding. I'm looking at it as spammy, and I would remove it. And I went over that earlier on how you'd go about doing that. But this URL is fine. We don't have a spammy URL. I would say that the title is. Okay, so far everything looks fine. That's a little weird. What's that all about? Oh, this should just be a disclaimer.
Meet Bob and Sue. Over the past...
So this is just a standard anti-spam disclaimer page, which is fine. Okay, so let's take a look at the home page. That would be the next thing that I want to do. And so far everything here is looking fine. So usually what I do is come in here, and I'll just take this and take a look at the source page. Okay, so the title right here, we got replacement windows New Jersey, window replacement New Jersey, and then the phone number. I think it's fine to have something like this in here. It's just that this is too repetitive. It's the same thing, just backwards. I would just remove that and just have one, and maybe have a call of action here. And let's look at the keywords and okay, I don't think it's anything that's fine. Description. This is what shows up in the search engines. I think that's fine. It's not stuffed. I'll take like your H1 tags. Looks fine. H2. Here's H2. Okay. H3, it's optional. Okay. Okay, so far I'm not seeing any alarms or anything like that. Window replacement. Replace window pros. Yeah, I think you're fine there. I don't think that's overstuffed or anything by any means. So I think you're fine there. I would add, let's take a look at some of your content that you've got here. So sitemap, and where's your content? So somewhere, unless I'm missing it, somewhere down here you should have a link to your articles, and you need those so Google can crawl it. Maybe you put it up here. All right, so that's one thing. You definitely want to add down here. You want to add there's a slot in here to put a third one, and it would be like news or blog updates, just whatever you want to name it is fine. Don't name it something spammy. Just like news is fine. Okay, and then it's got you have an option. I would show 3 of your most latest posts down here. I'm not seeing it on here, so I would definitely change that because Google will have a hard time crawling it and finding its way back here. Without that, it seems kind of blocked. So let's go back to this site, and let's just take a look at where some of your articles are. Because I want to take a look at the anchor text on them. And so you know what? I'm not seeing any posts. Yeah, there are no posts on here. What we've got is a privacy policy, terms of agreement. Maybe that's the one. Huh. That's kind of an odd one to have there, isn't it? I'm not quite sure what this page has to do. Maybe it's double dart cookie. Probably a disclaimer page, right? So let's go back and look at some other ones. Let's just see statement. Yeah, you don't have any like content. What you've got is you've got your home page, about us, contact us. You've got the disclaimer pages, and it looks like you've got a few outlining cities on here, and that's it. You need to add some content to this, and I would be adding, maybe 2, 3 at the most per week. I would drip them out, make sure that you've got a link going from there back to your home page. And then I would start looking at some higher quality backlinks and watch the real recent webinar that I did on the top 6 quality backlinks, and I would be focusing on adding those, and then you're going to see some movement there. And then on your home page, make sure that you add at the bottom of the page there in the footer down here your to your post. Just put like news, and then up here, although I don't do it on the Chicago site, but I would recommend you do it. Areas served. You could have pages, and you drop down the pages, and it would be just each page would be named the city, the outlining city, whatever that is. Don't keyword stuff at replacement windows, newjersey.org, / replacement windows plus a city name and another one. Just put just the city name there. And so when someone comes in here and they get the service area, it drops down to the various service areas around. Okay. Alrighty, thanks for sharing that with us, and let me move on to the next questions. My slide back here. Okay. Alrighty, could you talk about ranking pages backwards? I want to try my hand at ranking for a local plumber. I live in San Diego, Carlsbad, great city by the way. Carlsbad has great beaches too. It's just north of San Diego. Yeah, we stay there when we go to Legoland. But anyways, I look to purchase carlsbadplumber.com, but obviously it's not available. Yeah, and so I did purchase carlsbademergencyplumber.com. That's a great choice, and I'm ranking pretty well for that. And it's got a video as well. Okay, so far so good. What is the best way to go back and now rank for Carlsbad Plumber? Even though the top line wasn't available, obviously my site is about plumbing. Great question, by the way. So in kind of more competitive niches like plumbing, you might first come in to start ranking from the angle of something that still gets searches, like the emergency side of it. It could be emergency dentist, emergency plumber, emergency roadside service, stuff like this. And then you swing back around, and then you want to rank for the keyword like Carlsberg plumber. That's obviously more competitive, has more searches. Super easy to do. I would just add plumber, Carlsberg plumber to your homepage, which you probably already have. Make sure that it's in your meta tags, and send a couple of high quality backlinks with that anchor text in it, then back off the anchor text, and you should be just fine, and you should see yourself start to kind of rank for that for a plumber as well. So that's what I would do, and good question, and it's a good strategy, especially when it's a nice way to kind of come in from a lower entry point, and then kind of make yourself kind of rise up into a little bit more competitive marketplace. And you could rank the same page, your homepage, for Carlsberg Plumber as you would for Carlsberg Emergency Plumber. Okay, how many links to a single URL do you put from a blog to your private blog network? Okay, so this is a private blog network question, and for how many links to a single URL do you put from your private blog network? What I do is we set up our homepage so that it shows the most recent posts, and it shows 100 posts, and it shows the full post, not the abbreviated one, and we stop at 100. I know other people out there recommend 20 or 50. We've had no problem lining those things up with 100 links. It doesn't seem to lessen the link juice, but if you want to be a little bit more on the conservative side, maybe you'd stop at maybe 20 or 30. But we don't. I'm just letting you know. Doesn't the link juice decrease the more links you have pointing out from the homepage? There's actually a video that I need to find, and it's Matt Cutts, and he's asked this question, and he kind of has to answer everything roundabout because we play this silly SEO game where everything is supposed to rank naturally, and anyways, it's just a big game. Nothing ranks naturally these days. Everyone's trying to buck the system. So anyways, and he basically says flat out that it does not decrease the link juice, and it's been our experience as well. So what's the minimum amount of pages you need from one blog to your network? Is it effective to build out 10 to 20 page blogs and invest in more higher PRULs versus investing in 50 to 100 pages of content for one blog. We take one blog and we'll do 50 to 100 pages, like I said earlier, of content. Theme them out. You're better off if you theme them out. So if you've got something that is, if you're in a automotive niche and you got different sub niches in those, towing or mobile mechanic or whatnot, then it's very easy to have a automotive site. It could be race cars. It could be antique cars, anything to do with automotive, and it's the same kind of theme that's pointing out. How often should you update your sites? Does it ever raise any red flags? We don't. I mean, we just post it and have a link that goes out. I mean, we don't. That's all we do. It's not that complicated to do. Really, no other red flags. I mean, you want to have all good practices. You want to have them on separate IP addresses, even if it's just the last two numbers are different. That's fine. Make sure your register is different on your pages, so it doesn't link them up. We use different themes. We just use free themes, I'm very minimal on the plugins that I use. There's obviously hundreds of plugins out there. We keep pretty light on those. If I'm not in a single vertical and have various SEO clients, how effective is having each site themed out and different topics? If you're in a situation like that, then I would recommend if they're local, then set it up to maybe look like a local directory site for businesses. That way you would naturally have lots of different businesses on there, right? And it wouldn't be themed out. Also keep in mind that the ideal situation, and not everything needs to be ideal, but the ideal situation would be to have a themed out site. So an automotive site is pointing to other automotive sites, okay? But that's not always the case. And I've had I do have many blog networks where we just point to anything. It could be pointing to an affiliate offer. It could be pointing to a local website, and we seem to be fine with that too. So don't get too wigged out about it. Okay, I'm about to hire my first VA and was wondering if you could please advise me on how exactly to pay him or her. Also, if you have a task sheet that your VAs could follow. I pay my VAs weekly, and not all of them. Some I pay monthly, and some I pay weekly. But the majority is weekly, and it's when they return. So it's when they return back on a Monday. So Monday they get paid for their previous week's work. And it's kind of funny how everyone always shows up to work on Monday. Okay. And I usually pay somewhere towards the middle or the end of the shift. And it's through PayPal. I have other, like my developers, and those are full-time, higher pay scale. So that's once a month, and that's just, and I do a wire transfer for that. And as far as task sheets go, you really want to, when you start to hire somebody, you need to kind of take off that entrepreneur hat and put on the project manager hat. And it's a completely different way of looking at your business and how to run it. And you're looking at systems, and you're going to serve your company the best if, especially in the beginning stages, when let's say that you had a huge company and you had 100 employees, and basically 15 of them were kind of turkeys. They weren't really adding value to the company, but the other 85 were really go-getters, and they were really adding value and to your company. You're not going to feel those 15. You're not going to feel how badly they hurt your company, because they're going to be buffered out by the other 85 really good employees. But when you're just hiring one, that's 50% of your workforce, including you. Okay. You want to hire a superstar. And if you have to pay extra for that, do it, because it will come back to you 100 times fold. Really, really important to hire well. And then the second thing is you want to make sure that you're giving them very clear tasks. They know what their goals and their objections are. It's nothing's assumed, and everything's can be measured. Either on a qualitative and a quantitative basis. And what I made the mistake in, and I've seen other entrepreneurs make this mistake, is they just kind of hand over stuff. It's like, here, just do this, and just get it done, and do a good job. And it's just nothing specific, and it's unvague, and there's no timetables or anything like that. So you need to take the tasks that you specifically want to hand over to your person who's going to be the other half of your company. Okay. And for 40 hours a week, what's the most effective thing that they can be doing to help grow your company? Okay. And also you should be asking the question as what are you going to be doing? Because you should be doing more of the high level stuff and the kind of repetition type of work should be handed off to others to do it. Okay. And when you've got someone else, when you just go from, yourself to adding one other person, there's just, especially in this business, there's so many things someone could do. Everything from, buying your domains, setting up your sites, writing your articles, setting up the posts, backlinking. That's something someone else can do completely, but it's not something you just hand over. You've got to be able to do the job, especially in the beginning stages. You have to be able to do that job yourself first. You have to be able to know how to do that job first, so that you can create a task sheet so that someone else will be able to do that job for you, and you would be able to know whether they're doing it or not, and be able to have checks and balances. Have a very clear start and end time. Okay. And they are logged in to, I have them log into Skype, and I have different Skype groups, and have them log in, have them, when they log in, it's like, good morning. It's just like they walk into work, like, good morning, how is everybody, blah, blah, blah. Chatting. Okay. Everybody get to work. Lunchtime. It's like, okay, I'm breaking for lunch. They're typing it into Skype. And then they're back on, and then when they're gone for the day, it's like, okay, I'm done. See everybody. And you should have people that it's very clear what they're starting with that day, what they're going to be doing that day, and then what they finished at the end of the day. Anyways, so that's probably enough. So, with your current emphasis on building lead gen sites with silo structures, both simple and complex, are you advising building fewer authoritative type lead gen sites versus original emphasis on scaling and building the copycat lead gen sites as quickly as possible? If so, why have you changed your emphasis? I haven't changed the emphasis. It's just there's different models for going out there, but definitely taking your sites and leveraging them and duplicating them out among different cities and scaling those out is, once you've got it figured out for the first 2 to 4 cities, you've got all kind of the little kinks worked out, then there's no reason to not expand out to another 25 or so cities. Okay. I still highly recommend that. Okay, so this is the last question on the slide, then I'll go to the chat box. I know there's a lot of questions in there. So would you recommend if I bought a high PR 4 or 5 with a top-notch domain authority, okay, so a really good quality PR 4 or 5, good backlink profile, etc., and use that site to make a different page for each city and rank that page to generate leads for my client instead of individual sites for each city? That way I can just focus in on one site and only one domain and use the weight of its high authority rank underneath it, and still charge the customers per call. Yes, absolutely. I think it's a wonderful idea, And I would strongly encourage you to do that. So just to recap, and for the new year, we'll be doing some case studies using examples just like this on here. And that is where you come in and you're going to, let's say you're, getting in the plumbing niche, and you do the research and you find an aged, high PR site that has something to do with plumbing. Okay. And you've done all the research. It's got good backlinks. It's a good, solid site. And something like that, you might pay $100, $200 for. Okay. Good, high quality site. And then you just take that site and you're going to change the theme on it. You're going to strip it down and you're going to make basically one massive site, for plumbers for all cities. So, and they're all going to hang off of that page rank of the root domain, that PR4, PR5. And I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. So you just have one massive site rather than a whole bunch of little ones, for sure. An example would be buying my big site called, homeimprovement.com, and then building silos underneath it, with the top of each one being a different city, like carpet cleaning, and Denver, etc. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great strategy. Okay. Let me go to the chat box. I know there's a ton of questions in here. And let me just take a quick drink. Alrighty. Okay. So let me go dive into these on here. Okay, let me just start from the top here. Do you still prefer to use exact match domains? I do, but if you can't find them or they're not there, get something as close as you can. I cover that in the course. If you're hinting or thinking that they're, going to hurt your site in any way or shape or form, just they're not. If your homepage is 1,200 words, would you still only use the keyword once? That's a good question. Yeah, I would. But if it naturally fit in, okay, if it just naturally fit in somewhere else, then I would let that flow. But I would be really cautious of, overemphasizing it, because normally, keep in mind for your homepage, you're probably going to have 3 to 5 very similar variations of your main keyword. And so you're going to have it in there 5 times anyways. And the one that's going to have the most searches, you're going to do an H1 tag, and then in the second one, you're going to do an H2. So it's going to be very clear what that page is about. And excuse me. And then you're going to have, ideally, you would have a really good high quality backlink using your main keyword one time, and then using a lot of different variations of more themed anchor text coming to your site. So there'll be no question that what your site should be ranking for by following that. It's just, right now you really want to be, Google is hyper sensitive to over optimizing sites. They just don't like it. And if you kind of think of it from a kind of an engineering background, if you were going to, if you're creating your algorithm to try to find sites that maybe look are kind of spammy and lower quality, one easy way, perhaps, this is just my guess, is that Google engineers came along and said, well, you know what, these sites that we've looked at and done our research on, if they've got a whole lot of just the they get all these anchor texts that are the same 5 keywords all the time. They're always pointing to their homepage, and they've got the keywords just stuffed all over them. It's just too much. That's just not, maybe according to Google, not natural looking, so to speak. But anyways, just be real careful for that. So should we put our keywords in the all-in-one SEO meta tags for each post? No, I wouldn't. We don't do that. We just use the all-in-one SEO pack for the homepage or the tops of your silos, but not the posts. We just post the content. Yeah, Bill asks on here, and it's a good question. That in a lot of social links on that. I think it's important to have your Google +1, and we'll be doing some more in the beginning of the year. Facebook, because Facebook is now indexing their sites. So I don't know if you kind of play around, you do a little research on niches, you'll start to see more and more on page one. You'll start to see basically fan pages with the keyword in there start to rank. So it's definitely important. We've been focusing, and it's been working fine for us with many sites, just on good quality backlinks. The challenge that we get into when when we're scaling up and we're doing many of these sites is when we're looking for like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, it's unmanageable, or at least I can't find a way to manage all that and have separate ones for each site, and you get all this phone verification stuff. So for right now, I think it's definitely valid. There's no question about it. It is a ranking factor for sure. We've been able to get around without doing it. So, and just focusing on good quality content and good high quality backlinks. Okay, so we get a lot of this. Tickets come in about people asking. We go over Becker's plugin, which is the SEO Zen. There is in the webinar replays, and the title is clearly written down there, how I use SEO Zen. So I did a whole training on that. So just check that out. So a Barb asking on here, would it be okay to have featured posts as the 3 options in the footer to keep those static? This way we can make those 3 posts focused on your CTA, so if visitors check them out, they are dedicated to a call to action. You could do that. That's perfectly fine. I don't see any harm that's going to come from that. And I think you bring up some good points about if they do scroll down to the bottom and they do click on those, that you want to that's not the whole goal, right? The whole goal is to get them to click on your link, go to your site, call or fill out the form. That's the call to action. It's not to scroll down to the bottom of the page and then start reading some material. So that's why we're putting kind of all of our credibility, our call to actions, our bullet points, our videos that auto plays. We're keeping them above the fold, and because they're searching for us or that particular service, we're addressing their problem, and the solution is to pick up the phone and contact, or to fill out the form and have someone contact you. So I wouldn't worry about it that much. Plus, the way that we set up our sites, right, is that if someone else did land on another, inner page or something like that, that they still get the top of the header with the video that auto plays, and they still get and that's got all your call to action to it. So. Okay, John asking here, what system do you use? PayPal. I assume you mean to pay for to pay my outsourcers. I assume that's what you mean. And particularly with the Philippines, usually if somebody's a professional and they've got then they're gonna have a regular personal checking account, and then they're gonna be able to get a PayPal account, and So I normally, if they don't have a PayPal account, that's kind of a little bit of a red flag for me. But if they're good and they're qualified, maybe there's some circumstance there, and then they've got other options on there like Zoom. How many keywords do you recommend to put in the all-in-one SEO pack on the homepage? Usually you're going to have about maybe 30 on here. I don't think you can overdo those. I haven't seen any harm in that. Google supposedly doesn't pay a whole lot of attention to it anyways. That's what that's what the kind of the general belief is. But usually I've got my 3 to 5 kind of main keywords on the homepage itself, and there's going to be some variations of those. And so I'm going to be putting those into the meta tags for the SEO and plugin. And even if there's 30 or 40 of them, I'm going to put them in there. Yes, we're working right now on the mini blog course, so we'll be doing that with case studies. So yeah, we will come out. We'll be coming out with that course. Sure, Doug, I'll do this. So Doug, just Tim here. Could you do a review of the site? So I'll go ahead and copy that, and we'll take a look at it. And let me just pull that up. And we still got people, almost same people that logged in the beginning on the phone call. So you guys are still here. I'll be happy to stick around. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to take this site here, and I'm going to put site : I'm going to paste it in here, and I just want to see how many pages are indexed on here to get started with. And whoa, we've got 98 pages on here. So that tells me it's either got a lot of content or okay, so looking up here, so this is the home page. I would get the Google Plus account in here so that you've got the picture and the image. And the reason that's important is because it really helps click-through rate. When someone sees a whole bunch of sites when they're looking for it, you want to give them a reason to click on your site. So here's your privacy, your sitemap. Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about here. I don't know how you're ranking, but if you're not ranking on on page 1, this might be one of the things right here. This is what I'm talking about. Evictions, Miami, Dayton on here. But your URLs are good. This is not a spammy URL. Okay, so this is good. Eviction, full reaction to Obama, Miami eviction process, payment tenant. Yeah, I might just. I wouldn't go back and redo this, but I would say in the future I would take something like this because you've already got eviction Miami here in the root domain, and I would just maybe put the eviction process paying tenant rather than adding the city name in there. Eviction attorney, Miami. I don't know if you've already got Miami in here. You don't really need it there. Again, I wouldn't go back and fix it, but for future reference, this is a good topic to look at here. Let's take a look at some of the other pages. You got a lot of content, which is great. Yeah, see, this is like a great title. This is very natural. It's not spammy. Eviction attorney, why a landlord needs one. Yeah, that's great. That's not spammy. We look at the URL. Just matches up here. Let's go ahead and just take a look at this item. I'm going to assume this is one of your posts. It's going to be leading back to the top of either a silo or one of your silos. And hopefully that's my computer that's the load time is slow on, and not yours. It's probably mine. So while that's loading up, let me take a look at a couple other pages here, and then we'll It's good stuff. Florida eviction process, what every landlord should know. It's really good titles. Not spammy at all. I'm going to take a look at that. A new tab. Yeah, I think so far, I think we're looking pretty darn good here. I want to take a look at some of the sites, though, or some of the pages in here. And, yeah, that's a little weird that it's not coming up right away when I click on it, that load time. I'm going to assume that that's my internet connection where I am. And so with that, let me go to the home page. Yeah, that's got to be my internet connection. So here we go. If it's not, then you definitely want to. I would okay, so this is good stuff. This is a inner post. Yes, good stuff here. Okay, so this is leading back to your home page. Okay, it's leading back to another page, which is fine. Eviction, Miami, Dayton. Not sure why these are not. I'm sure my internet connection is slow. So let's take a look at how you've got this site set up here. This is, again, a post page. This is nice. This is a nice touch. I like this. Trust verified on here. Some sources on here. I think this is good stuff. And some posts. Pages. I think it's a good site on here. I would, I don't know why that's not loading up. I'm going to assume that that you haven't over optimized your links. It doesn't look like it here. You don't have a whole lot. You've got a nice, picture. It's a good article. It's always nice to have a video. The way that we set up our sites, you have the video auto plays, and if they land on any of the pages on here, that video captures them and gives them call for action. Video just is shown to keep people on your page longer. It reduces any kind of bounce rate on here. Okay, let's assume that the slow speed is not my internet connection. I'm going to assume it is. It's not. Then you definitely want to take a look at that, because if the speeds are this slow, no one's gonna wait as long as I did. But I would say initially everything's looking good from what I can tell here with my slow internet speed that I've got right now. Doug, is there a specific concern that you have with that? Not on page 1. Okay. It loads. Barb said it loads slow for her too. Okay, good. So yeah, you definitely, if it's loading slow for other people on here, you definitely want to take a look at that. And because if it's loading that slow, you're not gonna get anybody on that site. Okay, not that slow. If you're not on page 1, I would really be taking a look at. You've got a lot of really good content on here. Just from based on what I've seen on here, it looks like a really, a really good authority site. You probably all you're gonna need is some good quality backlinks, pointing to your homepage and to some of your random inner pages as well. And some of the other, looks like you got some other top of your silos going on there. And I would add some good quality backlinks to those. Take a look at the webinar that I did on the 6 top quality backlinks. And you should just be fine, because what I can tell from here, it looks like, you put a lot of good effort and time into this. So yeah, I noticed that too, Kevin. Yeah, whether it might be the one of your plugins that might be slowing that down, because I'm seeing that too. It's trying to connect to it, and that's the Love Claw on that end of it. So it shouldn't do that, but you might want to try turning off that plugin and seeing if the load times speed up. Okay, so someone else that said it loaded really fast for someone on that was Sarah. Thanks for the feedback. So probably my internet connection. Okay. Alrighty here. So good for that. Let's take a look at this. Oh, this live thing right here, Jay. That's it's just kind of a cool little plugin. It's only like I think $9 or something. It is in the resource sections. I just really like it. It catches people's attention, adds a little kind of interactiveness to it. You know, you can set it up to have different messages and different images on there. Okay, so here's the home page coming up here. So it does have a video, which is awesome. Awesome, and you put a price in here, so you've done enough research that you've done enough research to know that. And I don't see enough people do this, by the way. This is pretty smart to do. Is you may want to make this a little bit more obvious, kind of with a tenant eviction. You know, maybe make the price a little bit bigger. If you get to know your niche well, and it's kind of a price sensitive niche, you know, and like bankruptcy attorneys, that can be a pretty price sensitive niche. In other words, you know, if you type in like, you know, bankruptcy attorney, a lot of them now are advertising either in their title or in their headers, you know, $4.95, one-time fee. A lot of them are doing that kind of stuff. You see plumbers do that in some areas. You know, it's like a $49 one trip charge or something like that. So that's one thing you want to look at when you are looking and getting to know your niche, is that is your competition, is it price sensitive? Windshield repair is one. A lot of times, you know, they'll advertise free or $29 or something like that. You want to get to kind of know that niche. So if the eviction niche in here, if $195 in that particular area, that's kind of the good price point to get in there, then that's something that you definitely want to add to it. You can always have the asterisks on it, which is fine. The idea is you want them to call, you want them to get off the site and take action on here. Yeah, I think it's good stuff. I mean, I think you obviously put a lot of time and effort into this, and I think you've got a really nice looking site. I think if somebody was let me, now that I've got the home page, let's take a look at the page source. There we go. Okay. So see the keywords that you've got down here. Tenant eviction, eviction Miami, eviction in Miami, Miami Beach, residential eviction, not paying tenant, landlord tenant assistance. You've done your keyword research for sure. You may want to add some more on here because you've definitely got room to do it. And let's take a look at your title. This is what shows up in the search engines. Right here. So this is your title. This is what shows up in the search engines. Eviction, Miami-Dayton, tenant eviction, Miami Beach. Yeah, I don't think that's too bad. On there, you could add a call to action to it, which is not a bad thing to do. If that's, you know, if you've done your research on your niche, you would have something like, you know, tenant eviction from, you know, $195 or something like that. Having a good strong call to action there is important, almost more important than having your keyword in there. If you can have your one keyword that kind of describes where you are and what you do, plus a strong call to action, you know, then you're going to get a higher click-through rate. And then you've also, if you've got a good, nice kind of a appealing, warm-looking picture for your Google Plus that, you know, makes people, you know, attracted to it, that they want to click on it. And then in your title too, or your description. But I think overall it looks really good. I'm not seeing any red flags here at all. You might want to have a little more content on your homepage, but I've seen thinner sites rank really well before too, so that's not necessarily hurting at all. I think what you make up for not having content on your homepage, you more than make up for with the content on the overall site. So if this was my site, I wouldn't add any more content to the homepage. I would be looking at adding some quality backlinks to this thing to get it to where it's supposed to be, up and ranking. I think you got a really good site here. So good job. And thanks for letting us take a look at your site. Alrighty, a couple more questions here, and then it loads fast for me, and that's in Honolulu. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate the feedback. So doesn't look like it as more likely my internet connection, obviously, right? Okay. All right, good question. If you someone asked if you get backlink indexer, could I cancel my backlink indexer? You definitely could replace it for your backlink indexer, but I would first test out backlink commando, make sure that you that you like it, that it's going to work for you before you obviously cancel your backlink indexer. Now, the way link commando does, it's rather robust. It's whoever the programmer was, I think it is Sean that actually does the programming on those. It's a real robust plugin. This is not something that somebody slapped together. There's a lot of thought and a lot of features on this plugin. And one of the features is that if you're currently use backlink indexer, that you can integrate it with it. If you have Linklicious, you can also integrate it in as well. And the whole idea here really is that you can create using backlink commando as a standalone product without any other backlink services. That by itself is going to add more votes, if you want to call them, to your existing backlinks in order to get them indexed and hopefully cached, so you get full credit for the backlinks, right? But if you want to just make it like a commando, like the name says, and a lot of people do have backlink indexer, and they have other services out there. There's usually about 6 or 7 out there that are popular, that you can integrate them in. So you've got something now that it's like you can really start to and the whole idea is kind of like a shielding. So you've got like one good authority site, and then you're hitting all of these backlinks from various sources on it, which is shielding yet filtering the link juice through to your site, so that you don't affect your site. That concept's been around for a long time. So that's kind of the second part of it. But really, I would be looking at it as the first level of concern would be on the backlinks that I'm paying for. Am I getting the credit for that? You should always be backlinking your backlinks. So good question. Alrighty. Yeah. Just send in your site to our support desk. I don't know what the upsell is. Excuse me, for the backlink commando. But the way that I would look at it is that you could potentially replace the backlink commando for a paid monthly reoccurring service. So, whatever the upsell is, whatever it costs, it is going to save you money in the long term versus subscribing to a monthly service. The plugin again here. I actually did a little training video on it. Maybe some of you didn't get it. I'll just put it in here and then we'll wrap this call up here. is that called? Nope. Yeah, I'll just find it this way. Wait for that to pull up, because that's definitely my internet that's slow. Okay. I need to update these. Anyways, I'll send out another link later on with that, and there's a lot of them out there being tossed around. So, alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and wrap that up for today. Appreciate everybody and the questions that they sent in. A lot of good questions, both in the chat box and that were sent in here. And we got to do a couple of site reviews, so that's always good for everybody to look at there. New Year is going to come upon us really fast. Don't wait until the new year to figure out what you're going to do for the next 12 months. Get started on it right now. There's no better time than the present to do that. Get a head start of everyone else. Get your momentum going. And we'll talk to you on the next coaching call. Take care. Bye-bye.